Evening, this is the XS Manchester Football Social. I'm Jim. The snow has melted away as quickly as every other team's chances of winning the Premier League this year. City now with an 18-point lead at the top of the table, playing football, the likes of which has never been seen before at the Etihad Stadium, and still, some fans are moaning. Boring City was the cries from some Blues as they left the game versus Chelsea after the most one-sided 1-0 game I have seen in my life. Have expectations been raised that high now in East Manchester? Was nothing less than a 4-0 thrashing accepted by the fans now at Manchester City? Do the moaners need to stop whinging, or is it in fact Pep's brand of possession football that's, well, a little bit dull sometimes? 0345 111 7625 is the phone number to call. The number to text is 87711 as well. And you can speak to two legends of the game when you do that. Our two up front today, Gary Owen, Manchester City hero, and United legend Mickey Thomas. Evening, boys.
Hello,
Evening,
Jimbo.
Gio and Jim.
And your headlines, why let the truth get in the way of a good story? Why would you let that?
Exactly.
Do you want me to give you the answer to your question?
Not yet.
Else comes
I
on?
want the answer to my question in a little bit.
Okay.
Tell me about it in a minute, because I certainly
will.
heard some City fans moaning about the result against Chelsea. Not the result against Chelsea.
No, you heard them singing it.
Moaning. No, I heard them moaning about it.
Oh, right.
Didn't hear him singing.
Yeah,
also,
boring City.
also on the
902 passes, 78%. The opposition having one shot on target. Did they get in our half? Yes, they must have done to get one shot off target. Or maybe they shot from the halfway, I'm not quite sure.
Does that make for an exciting game of football, though?
Well, it takes two teams.
Total dominance and one-sidedness?
It takes two to tango. When you have the ball and possession for that length of time, and you have players on the opposition that won the Premiership last season, the champions, not able to muscle an effort to get into your own half, into the opposition half. I'm not being funny when I say this, but Bristol City, Wolves, gave more of a show than what the champions of the Premiership. So, is there something wrong with the Premiership?
Maybe.
Or
certainly something wrong
is
with
Manchester
the way
City
teams are approaching
not
that kind of
showing
game.
only at the Etihad what the football they're playing, but showing the world football they're playing?
We will get onto this very, very shortly. We're also going to talk about Manchester United's game against Palace this evening. I'm getting a bit worried for the Reds in that second place spot. If I was going to be a betting man, I'd probably bet on Liverpool at the moment. And VAR at the World Cup. It looks like we're going to have video refs during the world's greatest sporting event. So I want your views on the use of VAR at the World Cup. We're also going to be speaking to former ref Mark Halsey on that one a little bit later. Numbers to call if you want to get in touch. 0345 111 7625 is the phone number. 87711 is the text number. I can already see we've got a City fan who wants to talk about the game against Chelsea on the line. We'll come to that very soon. But before we do that, let's address the breaking news that's happened literally moments ago. Guardiola has accepted the FA charge over the yellow ribbon he wore. He was charged for wearing it in the game against Wigan in the FA Cup. In reality, he's been wearing it since October. Can we make anything from the fact that he's accepted the charge? Because he said he's not going to stop wearing it, so whether he accepts it or not, it doesn't matter, does it?
It only happens in the league, though, doesn't it? He's okay in the FA Cup, and he can wear it elsewhere. It's only in the league game. I think a political message. I think the FA have got it wrong. And is it Mr. Glenn? I can't remember what his name is now, head of the FA. He's had to come out. He was saying that
Martin Glenn.
It was close enough. Well, Glenn was his surname. He came out with. He tried to say that some of the things that like the poppy and like this yellow ribbon around the old oak tree, whatever it is. He's trying to, and he's backpedal now, but he put it on a similar to a SWAT sticker.
Yeah, he did. And he then said he regretted those statements, but because it's a ridiculous
he
comparison to
insulted
make.
the Jewish faith by the Star of David. I mean,
Guys,
should he be in that position? Sorry,
Guys, in this country, might not have that effect, but if he did it in Barcelona, maybe more so. Maybe he would get reprimanded more. Maybe he'd get more of a hammering. Maybe in our league, maybe not so.
It's the equivalent to a Scottish manager
but he would
wearing an SNP badge.
Whatever he wants to do, that's his belief.
because
I'm not going to
Catalonia, and that's why the Catalonian people, they have a Catalonian.
They have a flag and a language and a community and all
sorts. They want to break away
yeah.
from Spain. I don't think, in my opinion, it's wise to do that. I don't think they could they would be able to survive on their own, or not have the benefits of having the whole of Spain behind them. That's only my opinion.
But
of course.
PK from ex-Man United, he plays for Barcelona.
Yep.
He's been really cool. He's been hammered, hasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, and he's retiring from Spain as a result of that after the World Cup.
They boo him.
Yeah, but why didn't they
Which is why they don't want political messages like this being shown in football, because it can have a detrimental effect on the crowd and the players and the individuals involved.
What he's saying is, and I've argued this point as well, is that, but if he's saying about two people that's being locked up for their belief, really, for their belief. I don't think they've killed anybody or looking to murder anybody. I think it's just their belief, and he thinks it's his opinion, of course. He's doing it in support of them. Now, is it a political thing, or is it... Listen, I don't know.
Guys,
I'm not clever enough to go into it.
I don't want Guardiola to get arrested, sent to jail. Send City's team to jail and get a chance to win the league. But,
find a way out, Mickey.
I'm pretty sure the Premier League don't have that kind of authority yet, Mickey.
Find a way of passing that.
He wants to wear it, doesn't he?
Listen.
I'm not going to argue that.
He isn't going to stop wearing it, that's what he says, and no doubt the Premier League are going to have to stick by the guns and there will be some kind of touchline ban, but as we said, City are 18 points clear at the top of the league. They're going to have to ban, as you say, Mickey, the whole team if they want.
I don't think they have to ban the whole team now. They should have done about 2 months ago. That might have helped them. And anybody that thinks they beat Chelsea and got that 3 points, that really tipped them over the edge. Then either they've been living on another planet or they don't know football, but that Premier League's been won for a while now.
Let's talk about Chelsea and City. The game at the weekend, the game on Sunday, only one team actually turned up to it. City versus a load of blue training cones that were pretending to be Chelsea on that game. We've heard from Gio already. He says it wasn't a boring game. I've genuinely heard some fans coming away from the stadium on Sunday saying it was a dull game to watch. Matt's on the line. Evening, Matt.
Evening, lads. You all right?
Very good, my friend.
Yeah.
Go on, City's football this season. Boring?
Look, right, I know everyone's entitled to their opinion, but, you're not telling me that City fans that have seen us, go through some of our worst times were saying that yesterday was boring, right? There's only one type of fan that was saying that yesterday was boring, and that's the glory hunters that have no perspective, on where our club has come from. I know that it's the price of success, but to me, and I should imagine, a lot of other City fans out there, their opinion is completely irrelevant. They don't know why we sing "We never win at home, we never win away," and they don't have any idea what the term "typical City" means. And obviously, to the neutral and to the glory hunters yesterday, it may have been boring, but for me, it was an absolute joy to watch. It was different class.
Absolutely.
We forced Chelsea to lump the ball up the pitch. We forced Chelsea to 0 shots on target because of our press and our possession game. Chelsea did not turn up yesterday to play like that. We forced them to play like that, and I think it's time now that the pundits, and the so-called experts that get paid to give their analysis to start giving us credit where credit's due, because, rather than saying how bad Chelsea was, Chelsea are the first side that we've done that to do this season. We're breaking records left, right and centre, and we aren't being given the praise we deserve. It's nothing down to, oil money or a blank checkbook. It's down to our manager, his coaching staff and the team for putting everything into practice when it matters the most, and that's why, in my opinion, our team at the moment is the greatest team that this league has ever seen.
Matt, you couldn't have put it better, or I couldn't have put it better. I totally agree with you. It was total football against the champions of the Premiership last year. We made them look like... Well, we made them look worse than a Championship side or a League One side.
It's not the first time. Matt makes a point there. It's not the first time that teams have turned up at Manchester City and the pundits have gone, well, the team just didn't turn up. They didn't try. They didn't put effort in. We saw it against Arsenal just a week ago. But actually, has Matt got a point? It's not the fact that teams are turning up to City and playing badly. It's that teams can't play well against Manchester City.
They're not allowed to. There's only two...
We don't allow them. We don't allow them any of the ball, because as soon as we get the ball, we're hunting in 4s and 5s and winning it back. And as soon as we get the ball, it's that demoralising for the other team. Like you've seen with Chelsea, you've seen with Arsenal. They're strolling around the pitch. What other team has done that to another team? I can't think of any other side that's demoralised another side that much that they're reducing them to walking around the football pitch.
Let me just tell you something. We run them that ragged. Considering they had a full week's rest, we'd had 2 games in 4 days, and then we run them so ragged that Alonso was breathing out of every orifice he could get open. Trust me, he could not breathe. He was on his knees. He went down that line, 6'1", and he came back about 4'7". He was in a trench. He couldn't get back. He had no energy left whatsoever, as the team did.
No, Hazard was throwing his toys out the pram and everything as well.
We've all seen that clip, Matt, of the players not pressing, the Chelsea players just standing off City, that's been going around social media for the last 24 hours, and City are just pinging it about, they're just passing it about, and Chelsea are just standing off. They're not getting anywhere near that. Is that because nobody knows how to play against this City system anymore? They know if they press, City are going to ping it off somewhere else and run round them. If they, you have to stand off them. You have to kind of sit back and defend if you're even going to come away with a point.
I mean, I think Alan Shearer was saying it last night in that Mark Chapman. How do you play against City? Because teams have turned up against us and tried to press us and tried to play us at our own game, and we just destroy them. And then teams like Chelsea have tried to sit back and maybe nick one, and Conte looks like a genius. And you've seen it yesterday. All we did was pass it around, wait for them to try and come to us, and then we just pinged it around again and again and again, and to the point that like Gary just said then, where Alonso was completely knackered and didn't have any energy to chase around. And it was the same with a lot of the Chelsea players. It was all the same. They didn't know what to do against us. And I think
Matt, it's Mickey Thomas. I agree a lot with what you said here. I think you're right. You don't get the credit you deserve, because Chelsea came to play a tactic that was obviously very negative. That's because they were scared. That's because the way you play, you can destroy them if they play an open game. But you got that stigma against you of all the money in the world. That's what spoils it for you, because they've had this, that. But the football, and I said to Gary, you play is outstanding, and it's a joy to watch. And to try and go against City, I don't think there's anyone in the Premier League at the moment that can do that can live with them. You're far superior. The result proved that, and 18 points, whatever, you're ahead already. You've won the league already. And I think your bigger fish for me now is not the Premier League, it's the Champions League. And I think this will be a good indication how great this side could be in the future, not just now, in the future, because this Champions League starts to get interesting after this next round.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've practically, I never say anything's possible in football, but it looks like we're through to the quarterfinals anyway.
Oh, without doubt.
And we've hopefully we wrap the Premier League up with as many games to go as possible. So obviously we can start resting a few players for the massive Champions League games that we're going to have coming up. Obviously, if things do go our way in the league, it's wrapped up maybe against United or Tottenham. I'm not sure. Then maybe we can start giving the players like Brahim Diaz and Phil Foden.
Matt, another question quickly before Guy comes on. I mean, you said the greatest ever Premier League side. I mean, I would argue because United have thrashed teams like you have over the years now. It's very difficult to compare, and I'm not going to compare because it's now, we talk about now. So, but United have had some great teams over the years and smashed the league with fantastic football.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the fact that we're breaking so many records. Every single game you look at it, we're breaking records for goals, we're breaking records for passes, we're breaking records left, right and centre. And I know, obviously you're referring to probably, maybe your 2008 season or your 98-99 treble-winning season. But I just think, today's football with the Premier League, the quality of the teams that are in the Premier League, I can't really think of a bad side in the Premier League, with the exception of Arsenal, of course. I can't really think of a poor side in the Premier League anymore. Like back in those times, I'm talking not that long ago, obviously, but the quality of the teams like mid-table wasn't that great. You had your top fours, but now you've got your top 6 or 7, and the rest of them, in the lower regions of the league, they're all still competitive sides that can beat you on their day. So I think that's why I was saying that this is the greatest side that I've seen in the Premier League, because it's a lot more competitive now, and we've just made it, a one-horse race for pretty much, the whole season.
Matty, cheers for your call, mate. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Cool.
Just one thing before we go. Conte said, which was quite poignant, he said, was I going to take my team? Which also is a little bit scary if you are the owners of Chelsea and fans of Chelsea, when they've got Pedro, they've got William, they've got Morata, they've got
Alonso. We've got loads.
Team of superstars.
Yeah, all the team of superstars.
Fabulous.
Were we going to go to the Etihad like Arsenal and get done 3 or get 4? That was his mindset. He felt if he came out and played against City, that Chelsea could have got done 3 or 4.
Which is crazy for a fellow top 4 aspiring team to have that much fear going against another team.
That was it. Sorry, not his
I've
question,
never seen that before.
Well, 1-0 down they were, and they never even went and tried and get an equaliser, did they?
Yeah, but they had no legs. Yeah. Considering they had a week's rest, they had no legs. And I know winning games gives you more energy, but we run them that ragged, and I mean ragged. I mean, they were chasing shadows. They couldn't get close. Even if they wanted to get close, they didn't have the legs to do it.
I'll tell you what, I want to ask you, as former players, how you'd react in that kind of situation in a minute, because I think that's interesting, the way Arsenal and Chelsea have reacted recently to going goals down against City. They've given up, essentially, and it'd be interesting to know how that affects you mentally as a player. But first we're going to talk to Ant. He was at the game last night. Evening, Ant.
How you doing, guys? You all right?
I am.
So, I tell you what, they were that quick on the pitch last night. They scored that goal before I'd come back from the toilet. So,
30 seconds in the second half.
Honestly, I was there because it took my dad to his first game at City, and my dad hasn't been to a game.
Ori Hunter, that's the ones that Matt was talking about. You were the ones that talking about it was boring after the game, weren't you?
No. My dad wanted to go because the last game he went to, he saw George Best playing for Fulham.
Wow.
And then he said to me, he says, I want to see this Leroy Sané fella play. So he puts him in that bracket. Anyway, I took my dad to the toilet at half time. It took that bloody long. I missed the goal before he came back up. But no, you know what? I enjoyed the game. My dad enjoyed it. I loved it. The only thing that I'm going to hold my hands up here now, and we've had a lot of stick for it as City fans about being the library at the Etihad. And I have to admit, yesterday, I don't know how many fans they had, probably only a couple of thousand, but for most of the game, the Chelsea fans outsung us.
Yeah, but that normally happens. When we go away from home, when United go away from home, I mean, Mourinho wouldn't meet the fans because they wanted a showdown because he wants the fans to be loud at Old Trafford. Whichever team it is, Everton fans are more noisy away from home. United are.
Away fans
City
tend to be louder.
It's more, of course they do.
Yeah.
But listen, they took their quota to come because it was you couldn't get anybody else in that ground yesterday. I mean, even with the segregation, we closed the segregation. We don't have that much either with Chelsea anyway, but we closed the segregation. They had as many as they were allowed to be able to get in there. But to be honest, they were singing, making fools of themselves because they were singing when they didn't have anything to sing about.
Well, they just had an away day of it, aren't
we
they?
watched that game now, and I went to Old Trafford a few years ago when United were in the Pomp, and it was like a library. And I wondered why. Why? And I'll tell you why. Because they can't believe what they were watching, United. They couldn't believe what they was watching. It was so fantastic football. It's the same here now. You're in awe of it.
Yeah,
you are in awe of it.
Yeah, that was exactly my point, because I was sat there and I'm going, because when we score, or at the end of the game, or when Blue Moon comes, we start singing that, we blow everyone away, we lift the roof off the whole place. But I think it's for so long we've been there and we've never seen anything like it. And I think what it is I'm sat there and I'm thinking, this is like a dream. And then I thought, well, maybe if it is a dream, I don't want to move or make too much noise in case I wake up.
Exactly, in case somebody pinches you.
And cheers for your call, mate. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
See you, dude.
0345 111 76 25 if you want to come on and have a chat. 87711 is the text number. Like I say, I saw some City fans saying the performance was boring at the weekend. It was a bit of mischief from me. There were a few, but surely to God, it's the minority
they were
of City
tongue-in-cheek
fans
singing boring City.
This is the XS Manchester Football Social. I'm Jim, Gary Owen, Mickey Thomas both in the studio. And you know what? Football gets a lot of stick sometimes. It gets stick for being money-grabbing and not looking after people. But there's a lovely story that's broken on social media this afternoon. And we all heard the story of David Astori, the Italian international Fiorentina captain who passed away sadly at the age of 31 this weekend. Well, Fiorentina have taken action and extended the contract that he has at the club forever, for eternity essentially. So the wages that he would have got will go on to his family and daughter and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
What a great gesture.
Incredible.
What a great gesture.
It gives me goosebumps even thinking about it.
It's nice to think that he'll have a legacy at the club as well. So top work, Fiorentina, and other football clubs, please take note. Let's talk to a less favourable part of football, and that is VAR. The use of video referees was written into the laws of the game this weekend. It's paved the way for its use at the 2018 World Cup finals in Russia. But is that a good thing? Dodgy decisions, crowd confusion and baffled referees have all added in recent weeks to the swing of opinion on video referees, going from we must have this in the game to make it fair to it's ruining the game in just a few short weeks and a few short months. But what do you think? Is it too soon to be using VAR at the world's greatest competition? After all, it needs to be everywhere if it's going to succeed as part of the sport, but has it been tried and tested enough? We'll talk to Gary and Mickey and get their views very soon. We're also going to talk to former referee Mark Halsey, who's on the phone. Evening, Mark.
Good evening, fellas. How are you?
Hi, Mark. How are you, buddy?
Good, Gary. You, Mickey?
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Yeah, good
Help
stuff.
us out with this VAR, come on.
Yeah, go on. The opinion has swung recently, Mark.
Sorry?
The opinion has swung. Everyone wanted it before it's introduced. We've had a few games of it, a bit of confusion. The Rochdale game versus Tottenham was one of the most ridiculous first halves of football I think we've ever seen. So how's it going to work at the World Cup? Is it going to be just as ridiculous when it gets to the world stage?
Yeah, listen, this won't solve everything, but used properly to the letter of the prescribed procedure, then it can only benefit the game in years to come. Now, we saw at Wembley last Wednesday, the Tottenham and Rochdale game, they just didn't follow protocol. And it all boils down to the training and education, and the personnel that are using it at the present moment aren't good enough because of the training and education. Now, going on to the World Cup, I think, personally, it's the greatest tournament in the world. I think it's far too soon to be using that in the coming the finals. I think perhaps they should wait another 4 years until they've really tried and tested it, because we all saw in the Confederations Cup last summer what a shambles that was, and that's a FIFA competition. A lot of them would be the same officials.
I mean, you talk about it needing training and needing experience to use this. Surely the World Cup situation, this has been trialled in, I think, 4 European countries over the last year to see if it works. So the officials that are using it in the World Cup, who are from all four corners of the world, are in no way going to have that training and experience.
Absolutely. I mean, what you've got to realise is that a lot of these federations that are supplying officials for the finals have not used VAR whatsoever. I know it's coming officially, but it doesn't mean to say that the federations have to use it. If the Premier League don't want to use it next season, they won't be using it. If the stakeholders vote against it, they won't be using it. And I think they're going to wait and see how all the other countries, and we've seen it I think it's in France in the league. I think they threw it out, haven't they? I think they have, if I'm right. We've got it in Italy, we've got it in Germany, and we see constant problems. I mean, this weekend we've seen problems in the MLS, and they're the ones that have been using it for the last year or so. So, we've seen 2 or 3 cases already this weekend where the referees haven't followed their own protocol, and that's the problem.
Mark, you've got a great point, and I agree with you. I think it needs to come in, but it's been a shambles, and the training of it and the protocol has not been followed, and that is the problem. And, when you think the rugby's been doing this for maybe 2 decades, nearly 3 decades, I think they've been doing it, why wouldn't somebody go to them and say, can you iron out what the pitfalls were when you first started using it? What do we need to look at? And I don't think it's been done. I mean, I prefer, and I don't know, I'll ask you as a former referee, I would prefer to get more right than wrong. Then it's a step forward. At the moment, we're getting more wrong than right. So if this can help us to do it, Mourinho, your pal, said he prefers it, that if the ball, the line caption where now we can see if it goes over. He said if it doesn't go over, I'm quite happy if it's my team. But if it's not my team and it goes over, I want it to be fair, and that's absolutely right. So you as a referee, do you want, with this VAR, to help you to do your job better?
Listen, I think anything that enhances the decision-making, key match decision-making of a referee's got to be good. Now, I would have liked it, but also I have to say, as a referee, and if I was still an active referee, I would still want to get all those big key match decisions correct, even though they would, if it's a matter of fact, the VAR will check. I mean, let's go back. Let's just go back to last Wednesday at Wembley. Okay, now. It's clear and obvious errors, and obviously a matter of facts. Now, straight away, I'm watching the game. I can't see any error. I just, for me, the VAR should never got involved because there wasn't a clear and obvious error. Now, once he does get involved, okay, he thinks there's an infringement prior to Tottenham scoring their goal. Then what he's got to do then, he's got to speak to the match referee and advise him, listen, there's a possible infringement prior to the goal. You need to go and look at the monitor. Now, the referee has the final decision. That's in the protocol. Now, that just wasn't followed. So I go back to my training and education.
Mark, sorry, Jim, let me just ask this question. Mark, I mean, you've been a top referee. Now, when you make a decision and VAR is involved and you're getting wrong on 3 or 4 occasions, how does that make you feel as a referee when they're going against your decision on certain things?
Well, listen. I mean, obviously, it doesn't bode confidence for when you're refereeing games. But at the end of the day, it's a massive multi-billion-pound business, and it's about.
But it's questioning your ability as a referee, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, when we see it in rugby league, we see it in rugby union, we see it in cricket. Now, it doesn't affect them guys, and I think eventually, we've got to embrace it. It's going to come in, and there's going to be teething problems. It's in its training, it's in its infancy. There's going to be teething problems, but we've got to work. And I'm it's just totally as a referee and a VAR, it's a totally different mindset and a totally different skill in being a VAR. Because it was fantastic that I thought that Martin Glenn had come out, and in his own admittance, he thought, his own opinion, there was a big error on Tottenham's first goal. His opinion, okay. But then he went on to say, well, but we know that the guys there are there and they're trying to help and support their friends or their mates in the middle. Well, they're not there for that. They're there to pick up a clear and obvious error or a matter of fact. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. And also, I think everybody's forgetting the fans, because the fans are just as important as the players, the managers and the coaches. And the IFAB have given permission for all the clubs around the world to put up the big screens in the stadiums to let them know what is going on. It's important.
Yeah. So you can't celebrate a goal now because you have to wait for that VAR. The passion in the game, because we played it a long time, and Gary, you've been a referee for a long, long time, that will be taken away from the fan. The enjoyment of that second that goal goes in and it's disallowed. What disappointment!
Yeah, but what happens if it's wrong? It's a wrong goal.
Well, I mean, it has been wrong over the years, but it's never affected anyone.
It has.
I think Mickey, Gary, and Jim. I think we see in cricket and rugby, it adds to the excitement. Now, all of a sudden, you're celebrating the goal, and obviously, under the protocol, all goals are checked, and then obviously, it's 2 yards offside. Now, we don't want those given, do we? We want that, and all of a sudden, you're celebrating, all of a sudden, you're going, oh no, it's not, it's offside. So, in that respect, I do think that. In years to come, everybody will benefit.
But I know we're running out of time, but last one, Mark, quickly. I know we're running out of time, but something happened well before that goal. The ball goes in the back, and it's definitely a foul. A minute before that. So how would you get it right? I mean, you're going to get the goal. It could have been a foul a minute before. You're not going to go back to that far, are you?
That's one of my bugbears. I mean, you could have a penalty. You could have a penalty at one end. Okay, which is a definite penalty. The referee doesn't give it, but it doesn't go out of place. You keep going on, and all of a sudden you score a goal at the other end, and the VAR says, "Oh, hang on, we've got to go back 3 minutes to the penalty incident." Now, that for me cannot be. That can. I mean, how much time can elapse before play can be brought back? There's no definitive length of time specified, but there's a credibility issue to consider. Now, for me, if there's a penalty incident in the box, as soon as that ball comes out, then you should be blowing and say, hang on, we need to look at that. Or the referee needs to be giving it. Hang on, if it's not, let's go upstairs. If it is, we give it. If it's not, when we don't, we give a drop ball, the goalkeeper, and we get on with the game.
Okay, one more thing. I've got one more thing to do. Thursday night. Get that wine chilled on Thursday night. That's all.
Mark, thank you. I love you,
Mark Halsey, thank you very much. Appreciate that a lot. There we go. So much to talk about, so little time. We'll have to continue it on Wednesday when the XS Manchester Football Social returns, talking United and City. Ian Cheeseman here tomorrow with Forever Blue.